This is Jessica Sanchez, a powerhouse singer who first rose to fame on American Idol in 2012 and, years later, made history by winning America's Got Talent in 2025. But before all of that, she was just a young girl from Chula Vista, California, chasing her dream and singing anywhere she could. What struggles did she face on her journey? How did she keep going through years of ups and downs before finally reaching the top? This is the true story of the legendary Jessica Sanchez. Jessica Elizabeth Sanchez was born in Chula Vista, California, on August 4, 1995. She grew up in a home filled with music. Family members sang at church, played instruments, and encouraged her from the start. As a child, she learned songs by ear and loved to perform for relatives and neighbors, which helped her gain confidence early on. Her Filipino heritage was a big part of her identity. Community events and cultural celebrations gave her places to practice and be seen. From a young age, Jessica showed a natural sense for melody and rhythm that made adults notice. Teachers and local music leaders often praised how she phrased lines and connected emotionally with lyrics, not just hitting notes, but telling a story. Those early performances were small, but they mattered. Every local show taught her how to control her voice, how to project, and how to stand still and hold a room's attention. That steady practice laid a foundation that would support her later as stages got bigger. At home, her family supported both her dreams and the hard work behind them. They drove her to auditions, helped pick songs, and reminded her to balance school with music. That combination of encouragement and discipline shaped Jessica's early years. She learned singing was not only fun, but also something you improve at by practicing every day. Those roots, family, faith, community, and practice, became the steady core of her musical life. Before she burst into national attention, Jessica spent years trying out for smaller TV contests, local talent shows, and community events. Each audition was a chance to learn something new: how to handle nerves, how to pick a song that fits her voice, and how to take judges' feedback without losing confidence. She did not always win, but she came away stronger each time, with ideas for how to make the next performance better. These early contests also helped Jessica build a regional following. People in her city and in nearby towns began to know her name and voice, and those supporters kept showing up to events and sharing videos. That kind of grassroots support matters for young artists. It gives real-time feedback and helps them understand which songs move listeners. For Jessica, the mix of small stage experience and growing fan support taught her practical lessons about performance, song choice, and stage presence. Along the way, she met other aspiring singers and teachers who became part of her music network. Coaches helped her with breathing, phrasing, and stage movement. Peers offered friendship and tips. Those relationships created a learning circle that pushed her to improve. By the time bigger auditions came, she already had the muscle memory for performance and the emotional maturity to handle bigger stages. Jessica's run on season 11 of American Idol changed everything. Her performances on the show showed a rare combination: a wide vocal range and emotional interpretation that connected with viewers. When she sang powerful ballads or soulful pop songs, judges often praised not only her technical skill, but how she delivered the words, making listeners feel the story inside each song. The national exposure from Idol introduced Jessica to millions of people who had never seen her before. Television produced clips, social media spread standout moments, and fans began to form communities online supporting her journey. That visibility also brought pressure. Every new performance was seen by critics and fans, and expectations grew. Through it all, Jessica demonstrated the ability to stay focused on the music and keep improving under scrutiny. Finishing as runner-up did not mean failure, it opened doors. Record executives, producers, and event promoters noticed her talent and professionalism. Even without the title, she left the show with a platform she could use to start recording and touring. In short, American Idol launched Jessica from regional talent to a national artist with real career opportunities ahead. After Idol, Jessica signed with music industry partners and worked on her first studio album. The record, released in 2013, mixed pop and R&B, and aimed to show different sides of her voice, from radio-friendly tracks to slower songs that highlighted her tone and control. Working in the studio taught her about production, collaboration with songwriters, and how recorded music differs from live performance. Besides the album, she also had high-profile stage moments that helped her reputation. She performed at events such as the White House Easter celebration and other televised or charity concerts. Those invitations signaled industry respect and offered a chance to sing for new audiences, including political figures and international fans. Each big moment added a credential to her resume and kept her visible while her recording career found its shape. Commercial success can take time, and Jessica's early record pushed her into the recorded music world even if it did not instantly climb to the top of the pop charts. What mattered more at first was establishing credibility as a recording artist and learning the long game of the music business, building a catalog, finding collaborators, and understanding how to translate live energy into produced tracks people want to listen to again and again. Following her debut album, Jessica kept working, releasing singles, recording holiday tracks, and collaborating with other artists. She adapted to a changing music market where streaming and online engagement mattered more than ever, so she focused on steady releases and connecting directly with fans. Collaborations, in particular, allowed her to explore different styles and reach listeners in other genres and countries. She also performed internationally and at community events that strengthened her fan base outside the US. Performing abroad can be humbling and enlightening. Different audiences respond to different songs, and that experience helped her refine her setlist and stagecraft. Alongside performing, she tried small acting parts and TV guest spots, which broadened what she could do in entertainment beyond just singing. Those years were a time of quiet growth, not overnight stardom. Jessica learned to manage expectations, maintain her voice, and keep creating. The path showed that a sustainable career often includes smaller wins, a well-received single, a meaningful collaboration, or a concert where the audience is fully engaged rather than constant headlines. Jessica kept many parts of her private life away from tabloids, but shared key moments with fans, relationships, faith, and family time. She often credited her faith and family for grounding her during the ups and downs of show business. This personal stability helped her make long-term choices about projects, touring, and when to step back to rest. Her relationships and close friendships provided practical support, too, helping with logistics, giving honest feedback on music, and offering emotional backup during stressful times. Artists often need people who can separate career commentary from personal support, and Jessica's circle played that role. Those private anchors allowed her to return to the studio or the stage renewed and focused. Outside of public appearances, she continued writing and rehearsing, which is where much of an artist's craft is sharpened. Quiet hours alone with a piano or a demo mic shaped songs and vocal ideas that later appeared on stage or in recordings. That steady, behind-the-scenes work is a big part of what keeps a singer's career moving forward. Years after Idol, Jessica made a very public comeback on America's Got Talent, which many fans saw as a brave and hopeful move. On AGT, she delivered performances that mixed technical skill with emotional weight, and a judge's golden buzzer fast-tracked her into the live rounds. The comeback narrative, from former Idol finalist to proven artist, gave her story a powerful arc of persistence and reinvention. Her run on AGT included moments that connected deeply with viewers, adding personal context to her songs and choices. Those performances reintroduced her to a new generation of viewers while reminding longtime fans why they first admired her voice. The season built momentum that culminated in her winning AGT's grand prize, a headline-making moment that brought renewed industry attention and new opportunities. A comeback like this serves as a clear reminder that careers in music often have many chapters. Winning a major competition years after first finding fame shows resilience. It's about continuing to learn, returning with fresh perspective, and seizing the stage when the timing feels right. For Jessica, the AGT victory became a new beginning rather than a final destination. Jessica's journey contains clear lessons about talent, perseverance, and reinvention. Early fame gave her a platform, but it was steady work, smart choices, and emotional honesty that sustained her. Her story shows that, even after big early exposure, artists must keep growing, adapt to industry changes, and find new ways to reach listeners. Her comeback and ongoing work position her to explore new creative directions, more focused songwriting, strategic collaborations, and possibly larger tours or film and TV work. Beyond commercial plans, her path provides inspiration for Filipino-American artists and other young singers who want to see a place for themselves in mainstream music. Representation matters, and her visibility helps open doors for others. Looking ahead, the future for Jessica could include producing records with top producers, building a more personal catalog, and using her platform for causes she cares about. Whatever shape it takes, the pattern is clear. When she pairs vocal skill with thoughtful choices and steady effort, she finds audiences who listen, and that is the heart of a lasting music career. Before Jessica Sanchez ever stunned millions with her voice, there was a story no one aired. A story that began long before the AGT stage lights hit her face. Behind the scenes, judges weren't the only ones shocked. There were powerful decisions, hidden mentors, and a twist that almost stopped her from performing at all. What most people don't know, Jessica didn't even plan to audition. In fact, her breakout moment almost belonged to someone else, until a phone call changed everything. From singing in parking lots, to being rejected by one of TV's biggest shows, to having global celebrities fighting over her voice, this is the untold rise of Jessica Sanchez. Jessica Sanchez was born on August 4th, 1995, in Chula Vista, California, a city near San Diego. Her full name is Jessica Elizabeth Sanchez. She grew up in a multicultural household, with her mother Editha being Filipina and her father Gilbert of Mexican descent. Her father served in the U.S. Navy, which brought a strong sense of discipline to the family. Despite growing up in a working-class environment, Jessica's parents supported her musical dreams from an early age. They noticed her extraordinary vocal ability when she was only 2 years old, and they would often ask her to sing for family and friends at gatherings. Jessica's upbringing was shaped by her heritage. She has spoken in interviews about feeling a strong connection to both her Mexican and Filipino roots, which inspired her musical influences and performance style. Filipino culture, in particular, places a high value on singing, and Jessica grew up hearing ballads, karaoke classics, and R&B music from both cultures. These influences helped shape her voice into one known for its control, vibrato, and emotional intensity, even at a very young age. By the time she was 5, her talent was undeniable, and her parents began taking it seriously. She had her first public performance at just 10 years old when she sang Aretha Franklin's Respect on the Apollo stage in Harlem, one of the toughest crowds in America. Despite being shy offstage, she completely transformed once the spotlight hit. That performance proved to be a major turning point, as it showed the world she was not just a cute kid who could sing. She had stage presence, attitude, and raw talent. This early exposure opened doors for her to appear on more talent platforms. In 2006, Jessica auditioned for the very first season of America's Got Talent. While she impressed the judges, her journey was cut short in the semi-finals. Still, this experience gave her valuable stage exposure and helped prepare her for the national spotlight. Though many fans remember her from American Idol, her career actually began on AGT. This is one of the key facts most people miss. Her AGT appearance wasn't heavily broadcast or replayed, so it became a hidden chapter in her early career. Jessica's background reveals a girl raised with strong cultural roots, family support, and a love for music that never faded. Her story isn't just about talent, it's about discipline, diversity, and quiet perseverance. Her early struggles shaped her into the powerhouse vocalist fans saw years later on American Idol and again on AGT. Before the fame, before the albums, there was just a little girl with a huge voice and a dream that refused to quit. Before she became a household name on American Idol, Jessica Sanchez first stepped into the national spotlight on America's Got Talent back in 2006. She was only 11 years old when she auditioned for the very first season of the show. At the time, the judges were amazed by how such a young girl could deliver a vocal performance so rich and powerful. Though she didn't win or even make it to the finals, she left a strong impression. Most fans don't realize that Jessica was part of AGT history before her later success. This early rejection taught her resilience and gave her a taste of the industry's demands at a young age. One of the lesser-known facts about her AGT run is that her original performance wasn't televised in full. Because the first season of AGT was still trying to find its format, some contestants didn't get the attention they deserved, and Jessica was one of them. Judge Brandy Norwood, however, recognized her potential and pushed for her to return as a wild card. This support gave Jessica the confidence to keep going, even when things didn't go her way. Despite being eliminated before the finals, she gained valuable stage experience and national exposure, setting the stage for something bigger down the road. Fast forward to 2011. At just 16 years old, Jessica auditioned for American Idol Season 11 in San Diego. She sang Celine Dion's The Prayer and immediately stunned the judges. Throughout the competition, she delivered powerhouse performances, including I Will Always Love You and I Am Telling You, I'm Not Going. She consistently received standing ovations and praise from both the judges and viewers at home. However, the moment that made headlines was when she was shockingly eliminated mid-season, only to be saved by the judges in one of the most dramatic moments in Idol history. Jessica would go on to become the runner-up of the season, losing to Philip Phillips in the final. While some saw this as a defeat, many believed Jessica had outperformed him vocally throughout the show. The finale was a turning point, not just for Jessica, but for the way audiences viewed talent shows. She became an icon for young women of color, especially in Filipino and Mexican-American communities. Her run on American Idol wasn't just about music. It was about representation, resilience, and raw talent rising to the top. What most people don't realize is that her AGT experience helped her handle the pressures of American Idol. The nerves, the live performances, the high expectations, she had seen it all before. Her ability to adapt and improve came from those early experiences in talent shows, even the ones that didn't go her way. Jessica Sanchez didn't just show up and become a star overnight. Her rise was the result of years of hard work, early rejection, and unwavering belief in her own voice. After finishing as runner-up on American Idol, Jessica Sanchez had a huge wave of momentum behind her. She was just 16 years old, but had already become a global name. Her incredible vocal range, mature presence, and emotional control had made her one of the most talked-about contestants in the show's history. Right after the finale, she joined the American Idol Live tour, performing across the U.S. in front of thousands. She was often the standout performer during the tour, earning consistent praise from critics and fans alike. It seemed like a superstar career was just around the corner. Shortly after the tour, she signed a recording contract with Interscope Records. Her debut album, Me, You and the Music was released in April 2013 and featured collaborations with big-name producers like Ne-Yo and Toby Gad. The lead single, Tonight, even featured Ne-Yo himself. The album aimed to push Jessica into pop R&B territory, with radio-ready tracks and upbeat hooks. While her vocals remained strong, critics noted the album didn't feel fully her. It debuted at number 26 on the Billboard 200, not a flop by any means, but also not the blockbuster success many expected following her Idol fame. Despite the modest reception of her debut, Jessica didn't stop working. She appeared on the hit TV show Glee, playing a singer in the Nationals competition. It was her first acting role, and she took it seriously, enrolling in acting classes beforehand to prepare. The performance, though brief, introduced her to a new audience and showed her versatility. She also began releasing singles independently, trying to find a sound that matched her personality and artistry. Over the years, she dropped songs like This Love, Stronger Together, and Us, each showing a more stripped-back, soulful side of her voice. But navigating the music industry wasn't easy. Jessica later admitted in interviews that she began to lose her passion during this period. Music started to feel like a job rather than a joy. She struggled with being told how to look, what to sing, and how to market herself. As a young woman of color in a major label system, she found it hard to maintain creative control. She wanted to stay true to her voice, but industry pressure often pulled her in other directions. Still, she never stopped making music, choosing instead to slow down and focus on growth. In the years following her album, Jessica focused on connecting with her fans online and performing at smaller, more intimate shows. She kept one foot in the spotlight while quietly rebuilding her identity as an artist. Though she didn't maintain a top 40 chart presence, she never disappeared. She stayed active in music, continued honing her craft, and learned how to navigate an industry that often burns out young talent. Her story wasn't one of instant stardom, it was about endurance. And that's exactly what would set her up for a powerful return years later. While many people remember Jessica Sanchez for her powerhouse voice and confident stage presence, very few know the inner battles she faced behind the spotlight. After American Idol, the fame came fast, but so did the pressure. Being a teenage girl in the music industry is already hard, but being a Filipino-Mexican teen trying to find her identity while executives tried to mold her into a pop product made it even harder. Jessica has spoken openly about the emotional toll of being constantly told how to dress, act, and even what kind of music she should sing. It wasn't just about singing anymore, it was about selling. As the music industry pushed her toward radio-friendly pop, Jessica found herself feeling disconnected from her own artistry. She wanted to sing ballads, soul, and R&B, music that let her emotions shine through, but the label often leaned toward trendy sounds that didn't reflect her heart. It became difficult to enjoy the music when it no longer felt like hers. Fans didn't see this struggle, they only saw her on TV and thought she had it all. But in private, Jessica wrestled with anxiety, identity confusion, and creative burnout. Her love for music dimmed, not because she stopped caring, but because it started to feel like work instead of expression. Being a woman of mixed heritage in an industry that often prioritizes marketability over talent added another layer of difficulty. Jessica wanted to embrace her Filipino and Mexican backgrounds proudly, but she also felt the pressure to fit in with mainstream pop culture. She was sometimes treated as a niche act rather than a global artist. Even when she performed overseas, especially in the Philippines, where she has a huge fan base, she was still figuring out how to honor both sides of her roots without being boxed into stereotypes. What helped her through those years wasn't just family support, but also personal reflection. Jessica took a step back from the spotlight and started making music independently. She began writing songs that reflected her own thoughts and emotions, not what producers told her to feel. That journey towards self-expression made her realize that fame without freedom isn't true success. And while she lost some commercial momentum by stepping away, she gained something far more valuable, herself. In interviews years later, Jessica described this period as the hardest but most important of her life. It wasn't glamorous. It was lonely, frustrating, and confusing. But it taught her what kind of artist she wanted to be and what kind of message she wanted to share. She didn't just want to be remembered for winning a talent show. She wanted to be remembered for staying true to herself, even when it was easier to follow the crowd. That courage would be key in her dramatic return to America's Got Talent nearly 2 decades after her first appearance. In 2025, something remarkable happened. Jessica Sanchez returned to the America's Got Talent stage nearly 19 years after her original audition as a child. This time, she wasn't the shy little girl who stood nervously in front of the judges. She came back as a woman, an experienced vocalist, and someone who had lived the highs and lows of fame. But even more powerful was the fact that she returned while expecting her first child. That detail alone made headlines. She was literally carrying the next chapter of her life while bravely walking into one of the biggest stages in the world. Jessica chose to perform Beautiful Things by Benson Boone, a song filled with emotional depth and softness. It wasn't a showy, vocal acrobatics number. It was heartfelt and pure, showing how much Jessica had matured as an artist. The audience was silent during her performance, fully drawn in by her delivery. The performance ended in a standing ovation, with all 4 judges visibly moved. Sofia Vergara was so touched by the performance that she immediately stood up and hit the golden buzzer, sending Jessica straight through to the live shows. It was a full-circle moment, one that brought tears to her eyes and cheers from longtime fans. Simon Cowell, who had never judged her on Idol, looked at Jessica and simply said, "I think they like you." It was a light moment, but behind it was deep recognition of her talent and the journey it took to get back here. Howie Mandel called the performance roof-blowing, and Mel B noted that Jessica wasn't just a great singer, she had evolved into a storyteller. For many in the audience and those watching at home, it felt like healing. Jessica wasn't chasing validation anymore, she was reclaiming her place. Her golden buzzer moment wasn't just about vocal ability, it was about resilience, motherhood, identity, and unfinished dreams. Jessica stood on that stage not as a contestant needing approval, but as an artist who had learned from pain and pushed through. She represented every artist who had been molded, shelved, or forgotten, and chose to return on their own terms. That's why her audition resonated so deeply, it was honest. Jessica's return sent shockwaves through social media. Fans from her Idol days were now adults, cheering her on like an old friend. Younger viewers who had never seen her before were discovering her for the first time. And for Jessica, the return wasn't just a comeback. It was proof that you don't have to follow a traditional path to find your way back to greatness. She had grown, healed, and most importantly, found her voice again. This time, nobody could take it from her. When Jessica Sanchez finished her 2025 AGT audition, the room didn't erupt immediately. Instead, there was a stillness, an emotional pause, as if everyone was trying to process what they had just witnessed. And then came the applause, the standing ovation, and the flood of cheers that seemed to echo off every wall of the studio. It was a moment charged with feeling, not just for the judges, but for the audience as well. What they had just seen wasn't just a good vocal performance. It was a story, a confession, and a release. Sofia Vergara was the first to break the silence. Visibly emotional, she praised Jessica for the honesty in her voice and said it felt like Jessica wasn't just singing, she was telling a truth the world needed to hear. Without hesitation, she pressed the golden buzzer. As golden confetti rained down, Jessica dropped to her knees in shock, holding her pregnant belly with one hand and covering her face with the other. For many watching at home, that moment became a symbol. A woman returning after years away, still standing strong, still inspiring. Simon Cowell's response was classic but meaningful. With a slight smile, he leaned forward and said, "I think they like you," nodding toward the cheering audience. Beneath the simplicity of the comment was deep respect. Cowell, a tough critic, saw something bigger than just vocal ability. He saw the years of experience and heartbreak that now shaped her voice. He didn't have to say much because Jessica's performance had already said it all. His approval meant more than words. Howie Mandel praised the maturity in Jessica's performance, calling it roof-blowing, and saying that she brought an entirely different energy compared to her Idol days. Mel B, herself an experienced performer, said she was speechless and that Jessica had evolved into more than just a singer. She had become a full storyteller. The combination of raw technique, emotional depth, and vocal control stunned the entire panel. And perhaps more importantly, it reintroduced her to a new generation of fans who hadn't witnessed her rise years ago. Online reactions were immediate and passionate. Longtime fans who followed Jessica since American Idol called it healing in motion. New viewers were shocked to learn that she had once been rejected by AGT as a child. Comments flooded social media platforms, calling her return the most powerful moment of the season. Even casual viewers, who may not have known her backstory, said they could feel the authenticity in her voice. The judges felt it. The audience felt it. And the world remembered why Jessica Sanchez was never just a contestant. She was always an artist waiting for her moment. While millions saw Jessica Sanchez perform on American Idol and America's Got Talent, there are still many hidden chapters of her story that were never told on television. For example, most people don't realize that her first AGT appearance in 2006 wasn't even fully televised. As a young semi-finalist, Jessica was quietly eliminated before the finals, and her performance got very little screen time. It wasn't until Judge Brandy Norwood advocated for her return as a wild card that she was briefly brought back. But this part of her journey was never widely publicized, making it almost a forgotten moment in talent show history. Another little-known fact is that Jessica didn't have formal acting experience when she was cast on the hit TV series Glee after American Idol. She was offered a guest spot playing a young diva in a national singing competition. While she only appeared briefly, she took the opportunity seriously, taking acting classes to make sure she didn't just show up as a singer, but truly fit into the role. Most people thought it was just a cameo, but for Jessica, it was a chance to prove she could evolve and stretch beyond music. Her debut album, Me, You, and the Music was heavily backed by music industry giants. The project included work from Ne-Yo, Toby Gad, and Harvey Mason Jr., big names in pop and R&B. The label clearly saw star potential in her and invested in top-tier production. But what fans never saw was how out of place Jessica felt at times during the recording process. In interviews years later, she admitted that while she appreciated the opportunity, the album didn't truly reflect her style or identity. It was marketed as pop R&B, but Jessica preferred slower, more soulful ballads that let her voice shine. Jessica also performed at high-profile national events that most people missed. In 2008, she sang the national anthem at an NFL game, a huge deal for any young artist. In 2012, she sang at the Democratic National Convention, one of the biggest political stages in the world. These performances weren't televised widely, so many viewers never saw them. But each of these moments helped build her confidence and reminded her of the power her voice had, not just in music, but in shaping culture. Perhaps the most touching detail that never made headlines is that Jessica has always been grounded in family. Her parents have supported her from the very beginning, driving her to auditions, working extra jobs to pay for lessons, and encouraging her to be proud of both her Filipino and Mexican roots. She's never let fame pull her away from that foundation. And in 2025, when she stepped back on the AGT stage while pregnant, she wasn't just chasing a dream. She was showing her future child what perseverance looks like. That's something no talent show ever aired, but it's what makes her story unforgettable.